Hey guys, welcome to Follow Conversations. I'm excited that you're here tonight. Hey, what do you do when life throws you a curveball? Do you panic? Do you worry? Do you let it roll off of you like butter off of a biscuit? Thanks for joining the conversation tonight. That is what we're going to be talking about. So let's talk about this curveball. There's a couple that are coming through. So the first thing is, have you seen what's going on down south? I mean, that snow that's coming through. I mean, it is historic what's happening. Let me show you a picture real quick. This is of my friends, Janice and Brian Atwood down in Gulfport, Mississippi. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I asked Janice, I said, how long has Brian been waiting to break out those coveralls? He hates the cold. So anyway, I stole that picture from them. Hopefully they don't kill me for putting that up there. But anyway, there are tons of people who are experiencing this snow like they never have before. And it's really incredible. Maybe you're experiencing that and you want to share it with us. You can always put those pictures in the comments or you can share it with us. I'd love to hear about how much snow you're getting or things like that, because that's a big curveball. I'm sure you don't have a lot of things like that, sleds or warm clothes and things like that. So a little tip from us here in Arkansas, where we experience all four seasons in 1 week sometimes. Layers are your friends. So just remember that. Okay. Glad you're here. Take a second to like and share this so others can see it. And we'd love for you to see more of our content at LifeWord. So go to lifeword.org and you can always learn more about who we are. And really, it's just all about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world. That's what we want to do. Hey, we're here every Tuesday night at 7:00 for Follow Conversations. And what do we do here? We dive into different topics of everyday life, trusting Jesus. What does it mean to what does it look like to follow him every day with our lives? Let's talk about God's love, his forgiveness. Let's talk about our sin. Let's talk about the truth that's in the Bible. Those are the types of things that we talk about here on Follow Conversations. It's all about having a community that you belong to, that you feel comfortable asking questions and finding answers together. This is all about discipleship. So if you've ever wondered about that, this is what we talk about here on Follow Conversations. So remember how I talked about those curveballs? I mean, we've already seen one. Well, here's another one. Tonight, we were supposed to have a special guest, my friend, Dr. Brian Shepherd, and we were going to be talking about mental health. And he is not feeling well. And so we're going to reschedule him, and you guys will hear from him for sure. But I want you to pray for my friend Brian. He is ready to be back 100%. And I know that that's just difficult and it takes time. And I know that you'll love hearing from him when we finally get him rescheduled. So if you don't mind, pray for my friend Brian. So with all of these things happening, it started making me think, how do we deal with the unexpected? My life feels like it seems to be full of them sometimes. Maybe yours does too. Last week, I took my mother-in-law to the doctor, and we had recently she'd been having this pain in her hip, and the doctor, her family doctor, thought that it was arthritis. And, that's just, nobody wants to hear that, but the pain just continued. And we knew it just seemed like it was more than arthritis. And he said, we'll go ahead and do some x-rays just to rule out any fractures or anything like that. But I really think it's just some arthritis. So I want you to move a lot, and I don't want, that to get too stiff. I want you to keep moving. So we did. We moved a lot. And she was using this little bicycle thing, and she was up and trying to move and trying to do all these different things. And finally, the pain just got to be too much. And I called a friend of mine who is an orthopedic, and she said, let me see her, come in. So we went to the doctor and found out that she has 2 hip fractures. So you can imagine what kind of curveball that threw at us, because we went straight from being active and staying moving and mobile and doing all these things to get off of that leg and let it rest. Let's not put any weight on that leg. So that was a big curveball for us, for sure. And you got to switch gears and you got to figure out what to do in the midst. And she does not like to sit. She does not like people to serve her. She has always been one who is serving. She's a pastor's wife, and that's what she does. And so this is really hard for her. So while we're praying, if you don't mind, to pray for my mother-in-law, her name is Noma, and we're trying to push through this and move on. That's kind of what we're talking about, the unexpected. I remember we came home from SOAR, which is it's a youth conference that we do for students, and had just gotten back from that, and my father-in-law just was sick, just was not doing well, had a lot of pain in his abdomen, and he said, we're going to have to go to the ER. So I'd just driven in from Dallas, and we loaded up in the car and we headed to the emergency room. And while we were in there, we waited forever. I mean, if you've been in the emergency room, you know what that's like. And we'd waited forever. And finally, I just asked the lady, I said, we've been in here for hours and he's in a lot of pain and we just don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden she said, well, it looks like his cancer has spread, and so he's going to be in a lot of pain, but we've got somebody coming to check him out. Cancer? We had no clue. We were there for what we thought was like diverticulitis. We had no clue. So that was definitely unexpected. Maybe you've had those moments, those unexpected things. Listen, if you think that just because you've decided to follow Jesus, that your life is going to be smooth sailing, I don't know if I'm the first one to tell you this, but that's not true, okay? We are not exempt. We can't dodge and weave our way through life or prevent these things from happening. They just do. So how do you deal with it? I'm sure that you can all chime in right now. You can put in the comments, hey, this is how I deal with things that are unexpected when they come. This is what I do. But what about when it's more than something you can handle? What about when the treatment for your illness stops working suddenly and they can't figure out what to do next? Or what about when your child tells you about something that happened to them and it's totally out of your control? Or what about when someone hacks your identity and then drains your bank account and you feel absolutely helpless? I am not telling you that I have a sure way to keep you from worrying or stressing during those moments in your life. But when the unexpected comes, there is really one thing that we can know that will bring us peace, strength, and reassurance. So I want to share a couple of things with you tonight about that. Again, I'm not saying I have all the answers, and I'm not saying that hearing these things tonight is just going to make everything go away and be great, but it's what we can put our hope and our trust in. Jesus knows exactly what we're going through. He has not abandoned us. Don't ever think that. He never leaves our side. I want you to think back and remember the 3 men who were thrown into the fire because they would not bow down to the king and worship him. They said their worship was for God alone. Now, when the king looked in the fire, there were not 3 men in there. Listen to this. We're going to Daniel chapter 3, verse 19. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king, was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the 3 men. And his attitude toward them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men firmly tied and fell into the blazing flames or blazing furnace? threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty, there were. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the fourth looks like the Son of God. The fourth. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire, and everyone was crowded around them, the governors, the royal advisors, and they saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was any hair on their heads singed, and their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Well, then Nebuchadnezzar said, praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him, and they defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Jesus was with them in the fire. He was that fourth man who was there with these 3. Whatever fire that you're walking through, I hope that you can trust that Jesus has never left your side. Let him be your strength. Let's talk about another unexpected moment where an evil man wanted to get rid of all of the Jewish people. So the decree had been sent throughout Persia, and the king's right-hand man, Haman, was determined to be rid of all the Jews. Because of his place in the king's court, he demanded that everyone would bow and worship him. But Mordecai, which was a Jew working in the palace, he didn't. He would not bow and worship him. So Haman devises this plan, and without the king knowing the whole truth, he gives his signet ring to Haman, and he allows him to move forward with the plan. Of course, the plan was to destroy all of the Jews. He was going to kill all of them. When Mordecai hears about what's to come, he knew there was only one thing that he could do. See, here's a little bit of backstory. Okay, his cousin that he had helped raise had actually been taken in and was now the queen to this Persian king. She could help save them. But, of course, she was scared to death. She knew that if she approached the king, it could be the end of her life. But if she didn't. So listen to this in Esther 4, verse 12. It says, when Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, that you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go, gather together all of the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Pray and fast. This was the instruction from Esther. She knew that there was only one hope. Their only hope was if God delivered them. And God heard their prayers. He has a plan. And my friends, I want to tell you something. He hears your prayers too. Just because we don't get the answers that we hope for, or it's not an answer to the prayer in the way that we think it should go, does not mean he's not listening. Don't stop praying. The Lord loves you and he hears your cries. Psalm 18:6 says, in my distress, I called upon the Lord and I cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Whatever it is that you're facing, Jesus knows exactly what you need for the moment that you're finding yourself in. Psalm 27:5 says, for in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Are you looking for peace? Are you wanting peace that fills your heart even when the storms of life are raging around you? I want to show you what it looks like to follow Christ, to have a relationship with Him. It's not about fixing everything and getting right. It's nothing like that. It is surrendering your heart to Jesus and allowing Him to change you from the inside out. If you want to know more about that, if you want to start this relationship with Jesus, or you want to know what it means to go deeper in that, I would love for you to check out Follow. It's follow.lifeword.org. This is discipleship. It's online. It's at no cost to you. I'd love for you to check it out. It's easy to walk through. It introduces you to who Jesus is, what it means to be transformed by Him, and what it means to be on mission with Him. And then you learn about prayer, you learn about serving. There's so many different things. I'd love for you to check it out. It's interactive, it's interesting, and I'll meet you there. So go to follow.lifeword.org. Okay, if you've got a topic that you want us to cover, something that you want to hear sometime, you can always email me. It's yolanda@lifeword.org, and I'd love to talk about that. I'd love to look into it. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I'd love to help us just walk through them together. Let's talk about the question. Let's walk through it. Let's discover what God's word says, and then maybe we can find an answer. And I'm not telling you that we'll have all the answers this side of heaven, but I want to walk with you. So you can email me at yolanda@lifeword.org. Hey, don't forget we are here every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock for Follow Conversations. Like and share this video so others can see it. And hey, I'll see you again next Tuesday for Follow Conversations. And maybe we'll have another special guest on here. We're definitely going to get Dr. Brian rescheduled soon. I don't want you to miss it. Hey, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I love you. If I can pray for you, please put that in the comments. I would be honored to pray for you this week and whatever unexpected things have come your way. Have a great night.